Hello everybody and welcome to another Oscar prediction update for the month of October. This is a little bit earlier in the month than I've done previously, but I'm feeling more productive lately. I moved recently, so I'm sort of trying to restart a couple of things in my life and get a little bit more productive. And that includes with these videos. I do notice, by the way, that all my Oscar prediction videos have quite a number of views on them, more views than I thought I would get, so people just like these monthly updates. It's very flattering. Maybe also check out some of the From Pixels to Pictures videos while you're here. I'm going to be doing the House of the Dead video pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, this is a video on Oscar predictions, so let's just get right into it with Best Documentary Feature. Okay, so I have added The Rescue, which is a film from the makers of Free Solo, which won this category. I'm currently predicting The Rescue will be this year's winner because that's getting a lot of great press. People are saying it's very, very good. Not as good as Free Solo, but I think it can easily contend. Flea's in second place. We're going to have to see how well that does overall, but right now we're just trying to see if it can get the trifecta of animated foreign language documentary, if it can get in all three. I don't know if it has a chance to seriously win any of them, but if it does, I think its best chance might be documentary. Although it does have some strong competition on not only The Rescue, but also Summer of Soul, the Sparks Brothers, Attica. Not much to say with the rest of the category. We're still waiting to see how this all transpires. And the thing with documentary category is that the frontrunner tends to get snubbed a lot in the past couple years. So if The Rescue is going to be the new frontrunner, then that gets left off, but it's better than Flea being the new frontrunner and getting left off. So we'll definitely have to see. Once we have a clearer picture of this race, then I'm going to start predicting whatever the frontrunner is, that's not going to get nominated. And it's very reverse psychology with this category. So in the category of Best International Feature, so this category has changed quite a bit because my number one used to be Parallel Mothers, and then that was not an official selection of Spain. That was not chosen. I forget the one that was chosen, The Good Boss, something like that with Javier Bardem, but I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to this category. And I don't think Parallel Mothers is going to do terribly well outside of that. I moved Worst Person in the World to number one, so we'll have to see where that goes. Flea, I think, is also going to contend. Hand of God, Hero, those make sense. And then Titane. So literally minutes before I was prepared to record this, I found out that there had been an update, and Titane was now France's official submission. I was looking into some other films as the official submission because Titane, everyone says it's great, but everyone also says it's weird, and France doesn't always make the best choices when they select their films. But they selected Titane, so I have it getting in, although I think it might be tough if enough people find it weird. But if enough people love it, then it could move into frontrunner status. For now, I have it at number 5, and then these 6 through 10 are some other foreign language films I've heard about that could contend. So, not much to say with that. Best Animated Feature. Now, this is interesting because I was preparing to have no change at all in Best Animated Feature. And then I saw the trailer for Robin Robin, which is a Aardman stop-motion animated film coming to Netflix that looks like exactly the sort of thing the Academy goes for. And so I decided to take Raya out of the top 5, which sucks. And I think it could very easily still get on, but of the top 5 that I had, Raya was the most vulnerable, and Robin Robin seems like an Academy-friendly nominee. Everything else, I'm very confident that Mitchell's, Encanto, Flea, and Luca are all getting on, unless Encanto ends up being really disappointing. And Raya could still get on, but I feel like a lot of people are forgetting it. Um, Disney's probably going to put most of their chips behind Encanto. And again, Robin, the Academy, they don't nominate all mainstream CGI animated successes. Anytime they can nominate some lesser known hand drawn or stop motion stuff that aren't like big box office movies, they do like to do that to shine a light on other kind of animation. So Robin really makes sense as a nominee. And then everything else in the category stays the same. Still think Mitchell's vs. Machines could make a very serious contender for the win. Not sure how I would feel about Flea winning. I'd have to see it. But Mitchell's has a lot of passion behind it, so I think anything's possible. Best Sound. Okay, so I still have Dune at number 1. I'm going to be seeing that movie shortly when it comes to HBO Max. But that definitely seems like the kind of movie that's going to do well in sound as well as a lot of the tech categories. Nightmare Alley moved up. Don't Look Up moves down, funnily enough. Okay, so this is the one category I'm predicting In the Heights to be nominated for. I've had this feeling that In the Heights could potentially make a resurgence and get a lot of attention later in the year. Because, yes, it didn't do good at the box office, but people do still really love it. It now has like an underdog factor going for it. Plus, if West Side Story disappoints, which I think is going to happen, then people could be like, well, In the Heights was better than West Side Story, and they could start talking about In the Heights again. So don't write it out. Right now I have it getting nominated for sound and nothing else, but I have it on the cusp of other categories, as you'll see. And then Belfast, I've heard there's just enough in that movie that it could get nominated the same way Roma was nominated for sound. And outside of that, we just have some action-y blockbuster movies that all have intricate sound design and could easily show up, but I'm not entirely sure which one. I've moved Eternals out of the top 5. Movie looks like it's going to be good, but we really have to see just how far it can go, because it is still Marvel at the end of the day. Okay, so next up I have Best Original Song. I've made the Beyonce song Be Alive from King Richard. That is currently the number 1 now. Because it's Beyonce, and the movie, spoiler alert, I think is going to be a Best Picture nominee, and people are going to like it, and it makes sense. The funny thing about Oscar predicting is at the beginning of the year, early Oscar predictions, original song is one of the hardest categories to do because you don't know what movies are going to feature songs. So your best bet is to go for musicals or animated films. Those are usually a good get. I have Encanto at number 2. And by the way, I'm aware that most people's Oscar predictions are specifically singling out the song Colombia Mi Encanto from Encanto as the song that's going to get nominated. I believe that's the song that plays in the trailer. The reason why I don't specify that song in here is because I have this feeling that Colombia Mi Encanto is something that plays early in the film, and that it's not going to be the big Oscar push, that there's going to be a later song that plays in a more emotional scene that is going to be the big push. If you remember, the first trailer for Frozen played for the first time in forever. Well, not the first trailer, but the time they were actually including music from the movie in the trailers, they played for the first time in forever over the trailer. And then later they put when people saw the movie, it was clear that Let It Go was going to be the contender. Same thing with Moana. They played We Know the Way in the first trailer. And when we saw the movie, it was like, oh, How Far I'll Go is the song. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be like some big, either an I Want song for the protagonist or some emotional song in a later big scene in the movie. Colombia Mi Encanto is like, that sounds like it's going to be a good song early in the movie, but it's not going to be the big contender. And once we see the movie, we're going to figure out what song is the big contender. But I do have it in at number 2, because Lin-Manuel Miranda could get that EGOT, potentially. But Beyonce's still ahead of him, and Billie Eilish is behind him for No Time to Die. And then Belfast and Don't Look Up, I hear both have original songs in them, and they could both contend, as we saw last year with Judas and the Black Messiah and Trial of Chicago 7 both getting nominated and Judas winning. Those songs came in off of the strength of being attached to Best Picture nominees, so that really does help. And then these other songs, so I have a Believe from The Rescue, and they like to nominate songs from documentaries, so that could happen. The anonymous ones from Dear Evan Hansen, people like the song, people do not like the movie. We'll see just how far that can go. I do think So May We Start could potentially contend, although again, the movie itself is not very popular. And this was me, having now seen Everybody's Talking About Jamie. That is an incredible song that plays during a very emotional moment in the movie, but it is very plot specific, and if voters have not seen the movie, they won't be able to vote for it. But I think it should still be in the conversation. And then Lady Gaga has a song for Top Gun Maverick. So overall, I'm confident with this top 10. I think there was one I'm forgetting, but maybe I'll edit it in later if I remember. Update. So I realized what I was forgetting. Every Letter from Cyrano. I put that in there. Not in the top 5, but decently outside of it. And I took out... I forget which one I took out. It probably doesn't matter. Okay, so I would have mentioned it in the video. Okay, so moving on to Best Original Score. Now, everybody who's heard the soundtrack of Dune is like, Hans Zimmer is winning an Oscar this year, so good for him. I have him number 1. And then after that, I have Johnny Greenwood getting 2 nominations for The Power of the Dog and Spencer. And then Nightmare Alley and Don't Look Up. Nightmare Alley was going to be Alexandre Desplat, but now it's going to be somebody else who I'm blanking on the name at the moment, but it's someone who's done some high-profile things. And Don't Look Up, I had him at number 2 because it was Nicholas Patel, and it's the movie that I'm having in a good position for Best Picture. But it's been pointed out to me that Nicholas Patel did the music for the previous 2 Adam McKay films that did not stand out much. Maybe this one will, but maybe it won't. I have it number 5 for now. And honestly, everything below 5 I'm not really sure about. Pay attention to Luca. Luca's a great score, so I'm sort of trying to give it a little bit of a push by putting it number 6. But everything outside of that is like nice, but we don't really know if it's going to contend. So it's tricky to figure this category out. But we all know Dune is winning. So for visual effects, okay, so still have Dune at number 1, still have Matrix at number 2. Eternals I've moved to 3, mainly due to uncertain competition, and Eternals at least we know is going to be good. Godzilla vs. Kong, I had that outside the top 5 for a long time, but the fact that that was like the first big movie to get people back in theaters means a lot of people saw it. So I think that can really contend, especially if they do some nice VFX reels. They nominated Kong Skull Island for this, so it's not impossible. And then Free Guy is a movie that came out in the summer that people liked and has some video game virtual reality stuff in it. So they nominated a comedy last year with Love and Monsters, so anything's possible. Then we have some Marvel with Spider-Man and Shang-Chi. We don't really know what kind of stuff is going to be in Spider-Man, except every Spider-Man character ever. And then Shang-Chi, people seem to like the movie, but people seem to agree that one of the weaker aspects of it is the visual effects. So, I mean, Black Panther was a Best Picture nominee, and it couldn't get in visual effects. So I don't think Shang-Chi has the best chances. Don't Look Up. I had it getting nominated for a while, but then I realized that the movie's not going to have that much space in it. And what space stuff is in it is probably going to be deliberately cartoony to mix with the over-the-top comedic aspects of the film. So it's probably not going to be a big VFX contender. And then, yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say for this category. Outside of it would be really crazy if Clifford got on, and I'm sort of keeping this outside just because. Okay, best makeup and hairstyling. So the Eyes of Tammy Faye is winning this. I am very confident in saying that, having now seen the film. This is makeup that really, really stands out, and it's impossible to ignore. And it plays a part in the actual narrative. So I'm, if there's one category where I know what's winning, it's Eyes of Tammy Faye. Although House of Gucci is gonna give it a fight, because the makeup in that trailer also looked very impressive. Dune, a big sci-fi epic, and Nightmare Alley is gonna have some impressive makeup in it, so that makes sense. Spencer, I mean, they turned Kristen Stewart into Princess Diana. They have the hair, and it might just be the best contender. I have it 5 for now because of its awards chances elsewhere. It's happened before where a performance has really helped push a film in best makeup. Although The Green Knight, if that picture is anything to go off of, it's gonna contend. So I have it at number 6 for now. Cruella could also contend just because of the black and white hair. Everybody's talking about Jamie. I have in a couple places. I already had it in song, and now it's in makeup. Because there is drag makeup in it, and anything's possible. Last Duel and Cyrano, just for some period medieval makeup. So it's going to be interesting to see what this category looks like. And Green Knight, I think people are already starting to... I'm not sure if it's safe to say people are forgetting about it, but as much as I wish them to nominate more outlandish special effects makeup, they don't all the time. They snubbed things like Suspiria or... okay, so I think this is going to be Eyes of Tammy Faye. I'm more confident in predicting that win than any other win. Although I may have to eat my words because costume design is Cruella, and I'm also fairly confident that that's in the number 1 position. Even though the other movies on this lineup are going to come closer to Best Picture than Cruella is, the costumes in Cruella are just too much to ignore. Nightmare Alley, I think, is going to be a solid 2, and House of Gucci, a solid 3. And Dune is a big sci-fi epic, so of course that gets on, and Spencer has famous dresses. Power of the Dog could get on, though, from what I've seen, but I've been hearing some very conflicting things on that film overall. So I think the movie is still going to be a contender, but it's not going to be an across-the-board contender. We'll have to see. And French Dispatch, Cyrano, West Side Story, everybody's talking about Jamie. Maybe, yeah, nobody's talking about that movie, unfortunately. So let's move on to Best Production Design. So I now have Nightmare Alley winning because the trailer was very eye-popping, and it does feel like the sort of thing that could win. Although Dune also is right up there, and French Dispatch, even though the movie itself is not going to be as big a contender as the other two, everyone who's seen it is like, the production design is insane. And then Power of the Dog is a Best Picture contender period piece, and Cyrano looks like it's going to have big, flashy production design from the trailer. And everything else, yeah, Belfast could get on in a Roma sort of way of like, oh, it's not much, but we made it look realistic. We made it look authentic to the era. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to move kind of quickly through these. I apologize. But again, just pause if I'm going too fast, just pause. Best Cinematography, I am now predicting The Tragedy of Macbeth. The trailer for Tragedy of Macbeth came out immediately after I did my previous Oscar predictions. And I'm like, okay, that's probably winning cinematography, or at least contending very, very much. Because it does look really impressive from that trailer. And they gave it to Mank last year. So being black and white helps. That's also why I have Belfast here. And then Power of the Dog looks great from the trailer, as does Dune and Nightmare Alley. This top 5 makes sense, although there are some below-the-line contenders that could really play. In particular, No Time to Die, which is not coming anywhere near Best Picture. I have heard a lot of very good things about that cinematography, and the 007 films have gotten in here before with Skyfall. So, and this is the cinematographer of La La Land and First Man, I believe. So, he knows how to shoot a movie. Okay, so with that out of the way, film editing. Don't Look Up, I still am very confident about that in the one position because even if it's not going to be a big contender to win Best Picture, uh, Adam McKay's previous movies have all done very well in getting the editing nomination at the very least. And then Belfast is Best Picture contender, so it's going to get on Dune, Epic. And The Nightmare Alley and Power of the Dog makes sense as that kind of movie, although King Richard I have just missing. And that might be a mistake because it's a sports movie and we're going to see scenes of people playing sports, which does help in editing. But how much of the movie is sports scenes and how much of it is people sitting around talking, and how well does the movie overall flow? I think it's definitely in the conversation, but it might be close. And then again, I have In the Heights missing as well. House of Gucci, Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza missing is interesting because I still think the movie's going to be a contender, but not one of the top contenders of the year. It's tricky, but I do think there's a limited pool of movies to choose from here. Okay, so I'm getting off topic. Let's just get to the top 8 categories now. We're moving really pretty fast today. So adapted screenplay. I still have Power of the Dog winning, although admittedly it's mostly due to lack of competition. Adapted screenplay is much less competitive than original this year. Coda, I think, is definitely getting nominated, even if the movie is not a Best Picture contender. And Nightmare Alley, probably going to contend for picture. Same thing with Dune. I've heard some people say that Dune could miss in screenplay because what makes that movie special is the technicals and the visuals, and it's less about the story. But I think if it's going to be a big top-of-the-line Best Picture contender, it can get nominated for screenplay anyway, because we've seen things like Life of Pi and Gravity, where the screenplay was not the main draw of the film, still get nominated for screenplay. Okay, and The Lost Daughter is just my token 5th nomination. I have heard good things about Passing, and that looks intriguing enough that it could get that last slot. But outside of that, it's kind of, I'm not sure. Tragedy of Macbeth is not getting nominated because it's Shakespeare. And Shakespeare doesn't get nominated in this category because nobody has the courage to change Shakespeare's text in any way to adapt it. All Joe Cohen did was omit certain things. So I don't think that's getting nominated for screenplay. And moving on to original screenplay, I still have Don't Look Up in the number 1 position. Belfast and Licorice Pizza close behind. King Richard, I'm moving it up. As I'll get into later in picture, I am starting to become more and more confident with that particular movie. And then Mass is 5. So this is looking like a strong lineup, and there's definitely some strong contenders in 6 through 10 that could also be in the conversation. Foreign language contenders, Worst Person in the World, and Titane, depending on which one of them is the bigger player in international feature. And then Come On, it's Mike Mills, who's gotten on before and has been the sole representation of his film before. So, and Spencer could be a big Best Picture contender. Even French Dispatch, as I've said before, though it's not going to be an across-the-board contender, maybe people like Wes Anderson enough that it still gets on. But I don't think that's going to happen because we do have some stiff competition this year. Best Supporting Actress. So I have moved Catriona Balfe up, and I have taken out Frances McDormand. She's going to be in lead, so don't freak out too much. But there's been some debate about where Frances McDormand is going, and for the moment I have her in lead, but that could change. Catriona Balfe, from what I've heard, everybody in Belfast except the child at the center of the film is going to be in supporting, so that clears that up. And I've heard people say that Balfe is amazing in the film, so I think that makes sense. And then Ann Dowd, I still have her in the number 1 position, but that could change. Hopefully people see Mass. I haven't seen the movie yet, but everyone who has seen it is like, it's amazing, and Ann Dowd is definitely winning. But if they campaign well enough, Ann Dowd should be winning. I think she's been my winner since my very first early predictions in April, May. So she's held on to that position for a long time. And Marlee Matlin is going to be campaigning for Coda. Meryl Streep in Don't Look Up. If she doesn't get nominated this year, then she ties her all-time record of longest period of time without a nomination for her. And she's playing the president, and I think she has multiple scenes in the movie, and it's not gonna be a lot of screen time, but it's gonna be enough to get her nominated. And the fact that the movie is a big deal is gonna push her over the edge. Now, with that said, Aunjanue Ellis and Ruth Negga they barely missed. I think both of them could contend really strongly. I just didn't know who in the top 5 to take out. I've heard great things about everybody, and I've seen Marlee Matlin, and Aunjanue Ellis and Ruth Negga, they're right there, and it frustrates me that I can't have them in. And then Toni Collette, Jane Hudashal, and Olga Merediz also could contend depending on what happens the rest of the season. So, with that out of the way, supporting actor, as I've said in previous Oscar prediction videos, supporting actor seems to be the weakest acting category. Because I genuinely don't know what's going to happen here. I have Isaacs in basically as a default choice. I don't really think he's going to win for this, but I don't really know what else there is. Troy Kotsur was very good in Coda, but, is that a winning performance? Maybe if the movie is a big Best Picture contender, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And Bradley Cooper, who has been my winner for a very long time, having seen the trailer, he's not in it much, and he's actually billed 5th on the poster, so maybe he just doesn't have that much to do in the movie, and he's not gonna be a big contender. And I'm sure people are gonna say, people can win supporting actor performances for small roles. How often does that happen in this day and age? It's usually always a co-lead, or at least someone that is, gets enough screen time to be really, really striking. So, Bradley Cooper, I just don't see it happening for this. And then Jamie Dornan is getting on, and Jared Leto. I just don't know who else. Andrew Garfield is possible, but they'd have to really go hard for the movie overall. I'm not sure I can see it happen. Outside of that, I kind of just don't know. It's supporting actor seems like a pretty barren field. But I'll tell you what's not a barren field is lead actress. So Kristen Stewart seems to be the frontrunner right now for Spencer. I have Chastain behind her because that is a very Beatty performance, and Lawrence because she's going to be in the big Best Picture winning movie, or Best Picture contending movie. Lady Gaga, House of Gucci has gone lower in other categories, but I still think it could be the Gaga show. Let's get her another nomination. I still think she's solidly in the hunt for this. And then Frances McDormand, I have her just barely getting on because she's so beloved, but the role is, from everything I've heard, the role is right. Obviously, I know the story of Macbeth, but there was a lot of debate going into this movie about, is she going to be played, because you can do it with Lady Macbeth as a lead character or a supporting character, and from everyone who's seen the movie, I've heard that she's right on the fence. I think they're going to push her lead, and I think she's going to barely get in, though she'd definitely have a better chance of getting in if she was in supporting. Then Amelia Jones, I hate to move her to number 6, but it's just got to happen. And then Coleman, Hudson, everyone else, I think Jodie Comer and Alana Haim could contend as well. Haim, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but she is, we didn't realize how important to the story her character was, and we see it in the trailer, that the movie is largely about her. So, but how well is she going to pull it off? We'll have to wait and see. So, I also heard very good things about Jodie Comer in The Last Duel. Right now, this is the top 5 that I have, although I think any of the top 6 through 10 could get in. It's a tricky category right now. Lead actor. So I think the only thing that's changed is I swapped my number 1 and number 2. I now have Will Smith winning. I'm gonna go for it. I think it. I'm gonna try to be optimistic. I want this to happen. The Academy has not given a lead acting performance to a black actor since Forest Whitaker in 2006, and it's been a while. But Will Smith, he's a reliable actor. He's a very likable and charming actor, and people are gonna want this for him. People are gonna want this to happen. So for now, I have been number one, although he's not going to be able to walk right up and get it. It's not going to be easy. Just be prepared for that. And then DiCaprio, Washington, and Dinklage, I think, are all getting on. Having seen the Cyrano trailer, yeah, he deserves a nomination at this point. So, and then Joaquin Phoenix I have as the number 6, who could potentially sneak in because people like him enough, although if he does, expect him to not attend the ceremony. And then I moved Nicolas Cage up a bit because I've heard very good things about that performance, although it seems a little bit too offbeat for something the Academy to recognize. And then Timothée Chalamet, I think, is actually possible because he's the face of a movie that's going to contend across the board. So, who knows? With that out of the way, Best Director. So, I have Denis Villeneuve in the number 1 spot. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to win, but he's definitely getting nominated for what he did. A lot of people are praising the heck out of this movie, and so I have him in the number 1 position for now, although who wins is anybody's guess. I have PTA for Licorice Pizza getting the 5th slot over Del Toro, but that was a close race. I think Licorice Pizza is going to be the better received film, though not by a whole lot. And then yeah, everyone else, these are all Best Picture contending movies, so I feel confident saying this. Let's just cut to the chase and address the big category, Best Picture. So I still have Don't Look Up winning, although I'm not super confident in it, but it seems to make the most sense for me right now. Netflix has never won Best Picture, which is troubling, and they've always had movies that looked like they could win Best Picture, like Roma and The Irishman and Trial of Chicago 7, but it never fully comes through for them. But Don't Look Up might just be too big to ignore. It's a big, big, big deal, and the fact that it's obviously written to be a climate change metaphor, but it can also be seen as a metaphor about anti-vaxxers and the perils of ignoring science, and be really, really timely to our current moment while also being funny and lighthearted. And so, yeah, I think this could definitely be... This could have a real narrative behind it in terms of winning Best Picture. Belfast, I know most people are saying that that's the frontrunner right now, but to be honest, I don't really see a narrative there. I mean, I get that Kenneth Branagh, he's been around a long time and people like him, but he also directed Artemis Fowl last year, and we're just gonna give him Best Picture now, really? Some reason I doubt that. It is kind of like it's very much like Roma, except Roma also lost Best Picture because it was inaccessible. And at least Roma, had the whole narrative of, it would be the first Netflix film to win, it would be the first foreign language film to win, which ended up happening next year for Parasite, and it's about Mexico, and it's about this timely thing. And this is like a British director talking about growing up in Ireland. British Ireland, and it's a white guy, and there's just not as much of a narrative for this one, other than, hey, it's a good movie, it's a feel-good movie. I just don't think I see that happening. I almost see more of a narrative for Dune, because at least that would be a big story. It'd be like, whoa, the big spectacle movie that got people back in theaters. Although, the thing that is holding me back from that is the fact that, from what I've heard, this movie is very much a part 1, and that the end of it leaves you with a lot of open-ended stuff. It doesn't have a climax or real ending, and that could hurt it in these chances, because I'm assuming the rest of these movies are going to have satisfying endings, or deliberately unsatisfying, as if the director is going for that. Power of the Dog, I'm so fascinated to see that from the responses, because like, oh, I didn't like it at first, but then I really thought about it, and you've got to sit with it, and like, I feel like that's going to be a movie that's going to register for a lot of people, but not have the support to go all the way and win Best Picture. And then Licorice Pizza, we'll have to see, because the trailer honestly made it look like it's a very simple coming of age story about teenagers. And when was the last time a movie like that won Best Picture? Like, the movie doesn't seem to have any real importance to it, which is a big factor in winning. King Richard, I think, is definitely going to benefit from being one of the few movies in the race about race, as well as being very likable and having Will Smith to lead it. Coda is very good, but I hope people don't forget about it. Nightmare Alley and Mass and Spencer. I think the top 10 is very solid, but I don't know really what comes after that. Outside of, like I said before, In the Heights could pull off a last-minute groundswell and get people's attention again. Last Duel I've heard good things about, and I've moved it above House of Gucci, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Tragedy Macbeth seems to be more of a tech player than a real Best Picture thing. And then Flea, I put it in 15 slot for now, because I've been very hesitant to it, but yes, I guess it's possible if it's really that good and it's nominated in animated, foreign language, and documentary, it could happen, but it would be historic. It would be the first documentary ever nominated and the first non-Disney animated movie ever nominated. So, I'm not predicting it, but okay, you've made me include it in the conversation now. Sorry that got interrupted by something family issue. So outside of that, I think I'm actually done. Just need to quote a quick little wrap up now. Uh, I don't really know. So we're gonna get, this is October now. We're gonna get the Gotham nominations, and we're gonna start. Hopefully, we're gonna start to see little critics awards pile in. I am in a position where I'm fortunate enough to get screeners, so that hopefully is gonna start happening soon. And this time next month, these predictions are going to start looking different. We're at the precipice. We're not fully ready to enter award season, but we're going to have to start getting ready, because award season is upon us. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for next time. Thank you very much. Bye.